Welcome to another episode of the Making of a Superhuman series. In fact, in this series, as you know, I've been introducing people who have made significant change or who have been contributing phenomenal, substantial level of knowledge and also their experience towards changing the lives of others and creating positive transformations, not just in the health, but in the entire lives of people. Today, I have got such a personality with me, with whom we are going to have some very interesting interaction. And I'm so happy and delighted to introduce Miss Mary Christine. Mary, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored.
So this show, in this Making of the Superhuman series, what we do is we generally give the opportunity to people around the world to understand and learn about ways and means by which they can take charge of their own life and also health, because health is the most important thing in your life. And we want the experts to really share their knowledge and wisdom. And we have been seeing that a lot of people are actually using the kind of tips we give from this. So I've been following what you are doing in this field. And also, I'm so happy that delighted and also honored to host you in the World Biohack Summit, which is happening right now. So maybe for the audience, they are keen to know about Mary. Can you just briefly tell the story how you moved into the space of health, wellness, and again getting into empowering more people in this space?
Thank you so much for that really kind introduction. I think at the end of the day, we all have our own personal story, whether it's something that pursues us into our passion, our purpose, something that impacted us really badly, that made us want to have a massive shift. I think we all stem from that story. Now, mine really stems back from my early 20s. So I lost my father to cancer. Now, he was my pillar of strength. He was my best friend. He was my role model. And it was really difficult for me to cope and start my journey to adulthood without that foundation of strength anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So I started my own health journey from my early 20s, watching my father's health deteriorate.
Okay.
And you would never bestow that on anyone. The pain that you have to go through because someone in your family or someone you love goes through something like that. Because I always say, people who get sick or people who go through any kinds of chronic health issues and so on have a lot to do with, we spoke about maybe genetics being a part of it, epigenetics. But also, it isn't just yourself that you are going through from a sickness perspective. It's everyone else around you, the people that you love, right? Yeah. So you're not the only one that's suffering.
Absolutely.
Everyone's suffering with you. So I feel like in many ways, it's important to educate people that it is partly selfish to be able to smoke, to drink, to do all the things that destroy your body without realizing that the impact that it will create to the people, the community, and everyone else that loves you.
That's right.
Because while you suffer, everyone else will suffer with you.
Absolutely.
So I went through that for a long time. So it was about 2.5 years before my father passed. Now I found it really interesting because in my early 20s and then back in the day, this was in the 90s, I would say. Back in the day, a lot of the things that we focused on wasn't really so heavily on the digital age. It was very much focused on conventional medicine and that way of treating things. Social media just started coming into play
then. Not there at all.
Not as much, not as much. We had certain kind of platforms that we could use.
Even I think the Facebook and all came only in 2007.
Yeah. So back in the day, we didn't really have that kind of knowledge, right? And UAE being a very new country, there's only certain things that you can also understand from a cancer perspective, health perspective, and being in your early 20s and not really in your financial capacity to help, not knowing the knowledge that I know today, I felt helpless.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. And when you feel helpless, and then you lose someone that means so much to you, you'll try to find everything that can help other people heal from that. So that's really where my journey began to health. Since then, I've been a massive advocate for helping people heal, helping people try to understand, the root cause of their problems opposed to just treating the symptoms.
Okay.
I have been a massive advocate for cancer. I work with charity organizations. I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro to raise money for a 8-year-old leukemia girl. And that was amazing because she was stage 1, almost progressing to stage 2. And because of the money that we raised, she's so much better now. So I believe that these kinds of impact that we do, because children is our future, really changes the game. So hence why I love doing what I do.
Wonderful. I think you started the journey much before you looked at certifications, right?
Yes.
Only after that you got into the certification for functional nutrition and all those things.
Absolutely.
So what was the point at which you realized that you need those kind of certifications to move ahead?
Okay, so very good question. I worked in corporate for law firms, actually. And
law firm?
Yeah, I worked
Nothing to do with health?
No, so I actually worked in law firms for over a decade.
Okay.
But always in a space of advocating mental health and well-being within these law firms, because I held positions where I was in HR, so always people interactions. And how can you make the workplace a better place?
Right.
And if you work in a law firm, like any kinds of company or large corporate that really focuses on really draining out energy from employees and chronic burnout, chronic fatigue, chronic stress, you realize that there's only so much you can do from an organization perspective to try to create a change, because there's a hierarchy that's involved in corporations where your voice can only be heard to a certain extent. There's still rules and protocols that you need to follow that you can't extend past that.
That's right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I knew from a very early on that I was a born leader. And I wasn't meant to be confined in a space of an organization.
Yeah.
You know, when we're younger, we have a ton of creativity, but then we get thrown into society and then we put in a box. And we put into a box in terms of how society wants us to live. We lose that creativity. But I knew that I was destined for more. I deserved to do more because I wanted to create bigger impact.
Right.
So now 6 years ago, I decided to leave the corporate world and dive into really doing this on my own.
Wow.
So I took in all the certifications. I have many now. I have in NLP. I have in breath work as well. Functional medicine, Chinese medicine, Eastern medicine. I believe heavily on that. I provide all my protocols and how I work with people focused primarily in Eastern medicine. So, you know, your talks and the way you speak about Eastern medicine, how you promote that. I mean, you're from India. You understand it from that sector. And Ayurveda is massive. I believe, you know, from centuries of teachings and the way they do things, that's what we need to follow. And the reason why that has been lost in translation over the years is because big pharma and all of these other
absolutely.
want to promote pharmaceutical drugs.
Yeah.
And kids that are born past the generation are learning that way of thinking, that way of being, and then it just gets lost, the olden ways of doing things. So I'm an advocate for bringing that back. I'm an advocate for creating change based on those centuries of healing. And I have seen a massive change and transformation in the people I work with based on those protocols.
Wonderful.
And hence why it solidifies my mission. It solidifies what I want to do, what I represent, and who I am today and what I want to create and bring to the world.
Wow. Excellent. I think the journey as such, if you look at it, you are saying the last 6 years after since you left the corporate, it's 6 years. And in 6 years, you could touch hundreds of lives directly, and also more than 1 million people following you in Insta. Now, why I'm making this statement is not to edify you, but at the same time, people out there who are wellness evangelists, who are trying to communicate to the people about health and wellness, they should know that it's all possible in just six years' time.
Absolutely.
You got certifications, you got a 1 million plus following, you have touched the lives of hundreds and thousands of people. It's possible. So anyone who is in the field of health and wellness, they should come up and they should take that chance. You know, like when you started 6 years back, or you started the real journey into it, that time there must not have been much in front of you, right?
Yeah. So because I grew up in this region
Mhm.
and I have been here for quite a long time and I understand a lot of how people do it here, and it's a raw and virgin market and people want to do different things but don't know how.
Right.
I just decided that in order to create an impact, you need to focus on a niche, right? Because health is so wide and
Wide,
varied and there's
yeah.
just so much information out there.
That's right.
If you don't specialize in something and you don't pick something that you know that you believe in and you can consistently put out there into the world day in, day out, I believe that's where most people fail, right? Because if you're a wellness influencer or if you're someone who's wanting to be a coach or create these transformations, it's important to pick a niche that you know that you can dive into and really focus on day in and day out. Now, I think people don't look at it from a perspective that content creation is really tough. You would know that. You are in that space too. People look at people like us in the Instagram, on TikTok. We spend hours trying to create valuable content so that people can absorb it in an easily digestible way, right? Because health is super scientific. It creates a lot of research, but they don't know what goes into creating all of that. I believe to be able to be successful at what you do in this space, you need to be consistent.
That's right.
So
yeah.
posting all the time, sticking within your niche. Don't go too much and too varied because then people get confused on who you are, what you do. You know, 1 month you are so heavily focused on sleep. The next month you're heavily focused on a different modality on health.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, so people don't know where to position you. I've always been focused on gut.
Okay.
That's been my focus.
That's what you identified as a niche on which you need
absolutely.
to focus
And
on.
people come to me because they see I'm that gut person. I can help fix their bloating, their inflammation, their hormonal issues, the gut-brain axis.
Right.
You know, so mental health issues. Like we all know, like the most important part of our system is our operating system is our gut.
Yeah.
Without that, nothing functions as good. So I decided to specialize in that because I understand the importance of our unique microbiome, which people don't really understand. They don't understand sleep chronotypes. Do you know much about the sleep chronotypes?
Not much.
Yeah. So they don't understand much about the sleep chronotypes. And because I also am a corporate wellness consultant and I work for large corporates and I provide workshops, training, activations for their employees monthly, I go into organizations and they know nothing about what I tell them.
Right. Okay.
You know, I teach from a leadership perspective on how to optimize your health, but I also teach it from a perspective of how to optimize your employees' health.
Got it. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. But if you understand the chronotypes, you're going to boost productivity for your staff and they know nothing about that.
You know, I was just wondering, how did you identify the niche? Because why I'm asking this question, I always appreciate the kind of effort and the kind of contributions you are doing in the health and wellness space. But I'm seeing you as a great health influencer. So I also know many people who have got real content and who can really contribute to the society, but they're still stuck in somewhere. So how did you identify the niche?
So when I first started, actually, it's a good question. When I first started, I was very focused on sleep.
Okay.
Because aside from nutrition, fitness, every other modality that we promote, sleep is underrated.
Yeah.
People look at that as not the most important, but actually it is number one of the most important pillars of health.
Most of the people think that, okay, I have nothing to do, so let's sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. Take a nap and sleep. And sleep is so important for our gut health, our brain health, for cellular health and longevity. Yeah. Right? So I really wanted to initially focus on sleep. But then I realized just by doing that, I saw a lot of correlation with gut. And I saw all the correlation between all of our bodily functions and organs always going back to gut health.
Right. Yeah.
So also another thing which really touched a point in where I felt like I really need to focus on gut health was my son. So he's 20 years old now, but when he was younger, he suffered from a lot of digestive issues. He had a lot of intolerances, massive allergies. And as a mom, what's the first thing you're going to do, right? You want to fix these problems.
That's right.
And from a person who believes in functional medicine and Ayurveda and Eastern medicine, I'm not going to believe in conventional way of doing things. I'm always going to find alternative ways to heal that. And from a perspective of of a mom trying to create radical change and transformation in my son's life. How do I do that? Right? I felt helpless because a lot of the times I couldn't fix the problem in the beginning when he was having these problems. But then over the years, when I got better at it and when I was trying Ayurvedic way of healing things, Eastern medicine of healing things, adaptogens, herbs, he was healing.
Okay.
Right? So I was like, okay, this is my mission. This is my goal. This is what I want to do.
Right. Yeah. So I think two life situations really drove you into this. One is your father's and the second one is your son's.
Totally.
Amazing. And tell me the kind of contributions you think are substantial what you have made during this last 6 years. I'm not saying about case studies or anything, but still you yourself must be feeling that I could do something substantial.
You mean, should I do something more? What can I do more?
No, what you have done in the last 6 years, which gave you so much of satisfaction, happiness, and excitement.
Wow, that's a lot. I am definitely a person that is massive on personal growth. I believe that if you're not learning, you're not growing. So I definitely am a person with a growth mindset and not a fixed mindset. And I promote this heavily on my platforms to my community. Right, yeah. I am always surrounded by people who are way smarter than me because I feel that's how we grow. That's right. I have attended a ton of events, have done a lot of speaking engagements, worked with some magic circle firms all over globally, created impact in leadership roles, but also within employees. I think radical change starts from you come out of your comfort zone, believing that you can achieve more than you think you can. And by pushing my boundaries all the time. So this year I want to launch my own supplements brand, as I spoke to you about. Yeah, I'm writing my first book.
Wow.
Really focused on my journey, but also focused on gut health, which I specialize in, but then really to the latest in biohacking research, understanding that. But then, 2 years ago, I had dreams, but then every year I live those dreams because I'm always pushing the envelope. And I think my substantial contribution to the world today is that the impact that I've created in the lives of the people, healing my son's issues, which is a massive deal for a parent who wants to create that change. But also has our goal stopped? Will we ever stop? I don't think so.
Every day you are excited about it.
I think for people like us, our journey will never stop in the way we want to help people because our impact is really, or our mission and our purpose is way larger than who we are as people.
Yeah.
It's like 7 billion people in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where are we going to stop? We're never going to stop. I think when you find your purpose, when you are someone that wakes up every day with purpose, you're so driven by that, you want to help.
Excellent. Now, for the audience, the common people, I know that your Insta handle has got so many good health, wellness-oriented tips. I'm going to give that link below, so you can actually follow her. But maybe 2 or 3 excellent, easy to do tips for the people to make their gut buddies very happy.
Okay. Number 1, I'd say sleep. That's optimal. I mean, as I said, it's underrated. Sleep, if you really want to have an incredible gut microbiome, a healthy one, a thriving one, you need to be able to give your body enough rest to repair, regenerate. Okay. So that's 1. 2 is intermittent fasting. I believe in that.
Right.
I definitely believe in intermittent fasting. I promote all of my protocols for all of my clients with intermittent fasting, but I think it's also important to note that because we're so bio-individual and we're different, the way people fast is also very different.
That's
so you can't expect people to fast the same way. Some people probably don't do very well in that. I have clients who have type 1, type 2 diabetes, low sugar levels. They need to make sure that, they're always consuming something. So it's very different for everyone. So intermittent fasting is important. But understanding how it works for your unique microbiome by speaking to a specialist, a coach, a specialist, understanding how that works for you is super important. Yeah. Because, there are people out there who will promote just do intermittent fasting.
Absolutely.
But then you don't focus on trying to educate people. How do we do that? right? So get the test done, find out your unique microbiome, what you need, your intolerances, and then dive into the kind of intermittent fasting you need to do. So number 2. Number 3, I think, which is super important, but I think people neglect is, let's just say that working out isn't just about going to the gym. Our society has programmed like, hey, let's build this amazing center and let's call it a gym. And that's where people need to go and work out. And they associate the gym with pain, with I don't want to do this. It's not fun.
How can I skip today?
How can I skip leg day? How can I skip glutes day? You know, it's like pain and punishment.
Yeah.
But I think people forget like Blue Zone culture. People are walking.
Yeah.
Walking is
Moving
equivalent
the body.
to movement.
Yeah.
The gym is not defined as your only solution to get healthy. It's there to give you the machines and the modalities and the tools to build, you know, your unique, body composition, whatever it is for you. But let's not forget that movement is the only thing that you really need to progress in health. Now you can have an at-home gym. You can buy, certain weights that help you with, muscle mass so you don't develop sarcopenia. Now, a lot of people think that as you age, like you don't really need to build your muscle mass, but muscle mass is associated to longevity.
Absolutely.
Right? And there's a lot of scientific studies that's promoting that today. So if we are focused on making sure that we're moving every day, spending less time sitting, more time moving, having weights at home if you prefer to do that, or going to the gym, do twice a week at the gym, build on your muscles, but then just walk daily. Those are the 3 most valuable tips I can give people.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So that was Mary Christine for you. In fact, you know, what I really wanted to tell all of you, inspire all of you from Mary Christine is that the 6 years time, the kind of transformation she has created in her own life, number 1. And number 2, the kind of transformation she has created in the lives of so many people. And just imagine, when your gut is not right, your brain is not right. It doesn't work. That's my experience, and that's experience everybody shares. So when she's fixing the gut and making the gut buddies happy, everybody's brain also becoming happy, and happiness is becoming the mantra for the life for so many people. I would rather say that we should consider Mary Christine as a happiness evangelist because she's making the gut buddies happy.
Totally.
So thank you so much for joining this.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And we really appreciate the kind of contribution you're doing to the society, and keep on doing the great work. And we want people like you, people like Mary Christine, more people should come forward, and we have to collectively change the world and create the best ever world in which we can live. Thank you so much, Mary.
You said that very well. Thank you so much.